Let's dive into these deeply unsettling and eerie facts that will make you think twice about the items, stories, and ancient practices we've come to associate with history. From cursed artifacts to ghastly medical practices, we're counting down some of the creepiest relics that continue to haunt our minds. Get ready for these disturbing truths that will make your stomach turn. Number 15. The cursed mummy bandages. You might picture a mummy as just an ancient, dusty relic, a perfectly preserved body wrapped in linen. But what if I told you that these bandages could be hiding something much worse than the remains of a long-dead pharaoh? These ancient linens might not just be wrapped in the dust of history. They could be carrying the remnants of long-forgotten plagues. Textiles used for embalming might have been repurposed from infected bodies, meaning those bandages could have once been used to wipe fluids from people suffering from diseases like smallpox or tuberculosis. Imagine unwrapping a mummy and finding out that what's inside isn't just a body, but a centuries-old petri dish of pathogens waiting to pounce on your immune system. The pharaohs may be long gone, but their linen might have a deadly legacy to share. Number 14. The petrified lover's embrace. We've all heard the tragic story of Romeo and Juliet, but how about a real-life pair of lovers frozen in time? Meet the petrified lovers of Valdaro. Found locked in an eternal embrace in Italy, these two skeletons were buried 5,000 to 6,000 years ago, their final moments forever preserved. They weren't carefully laid out for a peaceful rest, though. These two were found exactly as they died, clinging to one another in an embrace that was likely frozen by a sudden, unexpected disaster. Picture this: your final, conscious moments spent holding on to your loved one, only for the earth and time to solidify that grip, creating an unbreakable bond. This disturbing relic of love has nothing sweet about it. It's a haunting reminder of a tragic and abrupt end. Number 13. The Whispering Skull of Leyden. You probably think that when someone dies, that's the end of their story. But in the case of the Whispering Skull of Leyden, the story isn't so simple. Back in the 18th century, anatomical specimens like skulls were often preserved and studied under grim circumstances, sometimes taken from graves or acquired through dubious means. The unsettling part about these skulls isn't just the grim reality of body dissection, but the fact that the person they once belonged to is now nothing more than a specimen in a medical study. The whispering of this skull is not literal, of course, but the lingering, haunting questions about who the person was, how they lived, and what pain they experienced before their death is what makes it so chilling. A skull, reduced to a teaching tool, forces us to confront the anonymity and eerie disconnection that followed their demise. Number 12. The Haunted Porcelain Doll. We've all seen those creepy porcelain dolls with their unblinking eyes and unsettling smiles, the ones that seem to follow you no matter where you go. But these dolls aren't just your average creepy childhood toys. Some haunted porcelain dolls come with terrifying backstories. Passed down through generations, rumored to carry the spirits of their former owners, or even worse, malevolent entities. Whether it's actual paranormal activity or just your mind playing tricks on you, the effect is the same: an overwhelming sense of fear. These dolls, meant to represent innocence and childhood, become conduits for our deepest anxieties, as if the past refuses to stay buried, and the past owners of these dolls are still lurking around, watching, waiting. Number 11. The Plague Doctor's Beak. When you picture a plague doctor, you probably envision the terrifying bird-like mask, complete with a long, sinister beak. But what was actually inside that beak? Turns out it wasn't just a bizarre fashion choice. The beak was a piece of protective equipment designed to ward off bad air, or miasma, which was believed to carry the plague. The beak was stuffed with flowers, herbs, and spices, creating a fragrant mask that doctors hoped would protect them from the disease. Of course, it didn't work. The plague was spread by fleas, not foul air, but the bizarre image of these doctors walking around with pungent potpourri masks still haunts us today. The grotesque truth behind this mask is a chilling reminder of humanity's misguided, desperate attempts to fight off invisible enemies. Number 10. The Cannibal Forks of Fiji. Forks are a staple of every meal, but in Fiji, they had a darker, much more sinister purpose. These weren't your average utensils. They were used for eating human flesh. In Fiji, cannibalism wasn't just a means of survival, it was a deeply ritualistic practice. Chiefs and warriors would use ornately carved wooden forks to consume the bodies of their enemies, turning a simple dining utensil into an instrument of domination and dehumanization. Imagine holding a fork knowing it was once used to eat a person. It's a horrifying thought that adds an entirely new level to your basic table manners. Conclusion: history is full of fascinating and creepy relics, and sometimes the deeper you dig, the more disturbing the truth becomes. These relics show us that the past isn't just a collection of old objects. It's a collection of human stories, tragedies, and dark practices that continue to haunt us. But hey, the next time you walk past an old museum display or handle an antique object, just remember, it might not be as innocent as it seems. That's all for today. I'll be making similar videos in the future, so don't forget to subscribe and stay tuned for more mind-bending history lessons that will leave you questioning everything. Number 9. The Human Skin Books. Imagine you're holding a book, its cover worn but intricately bound. You open it to find the pages filled with stories, but when you touch the cover, the horrifying truth hits you. That cover was once human skin. This macabre practice, known as anthropodermic bibliophagy, was a documented reality in the darker corners of history. Books bound in the skin of executed criminals, medical specimens, or even other people. A grotesque reminder that in the past, human remains were sometimes reduced to mere objects of curiosity. These books weren't just vessels of knowledge. They were the final indignity for the people whose skins now encased their pages, forever reminding us of the disturbing line between respect for the dead and our fascination with the macabre. It's a chilling, unsettling truth that turns your idea of a good read into a nightmare. Number 8. The Roman Curse Tablets. Ancient Romans were known for their grand architectural achievements, their philosophers, and their innovations in law. But hidden beneath their noble exterior was a much darker side, expressed through Roman curse tablets. These weren't just polite prayers to the gods. These were detailed petitions for vengeance, etched into sheets of lead and pewter, then rolled up and tossed into wells or graves. Imagine writing a curse that would ask the gods to cause your neighbor to go blind or even die. And this wasn't just petty anger, it was real, malicious intent. These tablets reveal that ancient Romans, despite their advances, were just as susceptible to jealousy, hatred, and dark desires as anyone today. They remind us that beneath the surface of history's great civilizations, there was often a simmering pot of human malice. Number 7. The Dancing Plague Shoes. In 1518, Strasbourg was gripped by a terrifying and bizarre event, the Dancing Plague. It wasn't a celebration. It was a nightmare. People began to dance uncontrollably in the streets, their bodies moving without command, and some danced to their deaths. The cause is debated. Some say it was mass hysteria, others point to ergot poisoning. But regardless of the cause, the result was terrifying. The shoes of those afflicted would have been shredded from endless dancing, covered in dirt, and worn through from the unrelenting rhythm. These shoes are more than just footwear. They're a symbol of humanity's vulnerability to both mental and physical breakdown. They represent a horrifying loss of control, where the body becomes an unwilling participant in its own destruction. Number 6. The mummified hand of a thief. Imagine holding a hand that was once a criminal's, preserved in a twisted display of superstition. The mummified hand of a thief was believed to have special powers, particularly the ability to help criminals carry out their work undetected. It wasn't just a strange artifact, it was an object that reflected deep belief in the supernatural. The hand of a hanged thief would be mummified and believed to have mystical properties, especially when lit by candlelight, said to render anyone near it immobile. The disturbing part isn't the superstition itself, but the belief that something so grotesque could hold such power. This hand wasn't just a body part, it was an instrument of crime, carrying with it an eerie reminder of the lengths people were willing to go to, both to commit and prevent crime. Number 5. The ancient Egyptian offering hands. In the ancient world, the Egyptians were obsessed with ensuring a proper afterlife, but some of their practices were downright disturbing. Offering hands, disembodied hands sculpted from materials like wood or faience, were created to perform offerings or prayers for the dead. These hands weren't just symbols, they were believed to be magical, able to continue their sacred duties in the afterlife. The disembodied nature of these hands speaks to the depth of Egypt's belief in ritual and the afterlife, where even body parts, detached and fragmented, were believed to have eternal purpose. This practice shows how intertwined life, death, and spirituality were in ancient Egyptian culture, but it also reveals the darker side of this devotion, where body parts were cut off, made sacred, and reused to ensure eternal devotion. Number 4. The Iron Maiden's spikes. When you think of medieval torture, the Iron Maiden probably comes to mind, a terrifying device designed to slowly impale its victim with sharp spikes. But while it's a common image in horror films, its actual use in history is debatable. Many of the so-called Iron Maidens in museums today were likely constructed in the 18th or 19th centuries, much later than the medieval period they're often associated with. They may have been sensationalized exhibits designed to elicit shock and fear, or even propaganda pieces meant to paint the past as more barbaric than it actually was. This makes the Iron Maiden even more disturbing. It's not just a relic of torture, but a product of our own dark fascination with brutality, with an imagined past filled with unimaginable suffering. Number 3. The Witch Trial Poppets. The witch trial poppet? Small dolls made of cloth, wax, or clay might seem innocent enough, but during the witch trials, these little figures became symbols of fear and death. People believed that sticking pins into these dolls could cause pain or even death to someone, leading to false accusations and executions. Imagine living in a time when a simple doll could be used as evidence of witchcraft, turning innocent people into victims of mass hysteria. The disturbing truth isn't just the dark magic attributed to these poppets, but the terrifying power of superstition, a force so strong it could decide life or death. These dolls were not just toys, they were instruments of fear, control, and injustice. Number 2. The Shrunken Head. The shrunken head, or Sansa, isn't just a creepy relic. It's a symbol of cultural practices that involved capturing and shrinking the heads of defeated enemies. These heads were believed to contain the spirit of the vanquished, preventing them from seeking revenge and instead harnessing their power. The process was gruesome. The skin was boiled, and stones and sand were used to shrink the skull to a fist-sized trophy. This practice, though unsettling, was deeply spiritual for the Shuar and Akshuar people of the Amazon, serving as both a ritualistic object and a symbol of victory. The shrunken head is a chilling reminder of how cultures have historically grappled with death, power, and the supernatural, turning human conflict into a portable relic of terror. Number 1. The Chernobyl Elephant's Foot. The Chernobyl elephant's foot is not a natural formation, but a terrifying radioactive mass that formed after the Chernobyl nuclear disaster. This mass, made of corium, a lava-like substance, still emits dangerous radiation decades later, a constant reminder of the catastrophic consequences of humanity's nuclear experimentation. The elephant's foot melted through concrete and steel, forming a wrinkled mass-like shape that resembles an elephant's foot, hence its name. Its disturbing truth isn't just the ongoing radiation it emits, but the symbolic weight it carries, a reminder of humanity's reckless pursuit of power and the irreversible consequences of nuclear technology. This terrifying relic isn't just a monument to disaster. It's a warning, a physical manifestation of our scientific hubris, and a chilling reminder that some mistakes can never be undone. Conclusion. These relics are more than just old artifacts. They're physical remnants of humanity's darkest, most disturbing practices. Whether it's the skin of a criminal turned into a book cover or the shriveled heads of conquered enemies, each one tells a story of power, fear, and the twisted ways in which people have interacted with death and the supernatural. Some of these objects still haunt us today, forcing us to confront the gruesome side of our own history. What do these relics say about us? That's a question we'll have to live with. That's all for today. If you want to see more unsettling stories and mind-bending facts, don't forget to subscribe. You won't want to miss what's coming next.